and the tradition of public speaking can be traced back to the ancient Greeks. They realized back then, as they were developing the technique of public speaking, the public speaking was considered imperative to facilitate the political debate, as well as being able to participate in the governmental assemblies. The Greeks understood the power of words and the appropriate words had for the impact on an audience. Rheid Schloss has our next speaker. He is our keynote speaker, and he had his first public speaking gig when he was 5 years old. Really little. He had his first business when he was 11, and at the age of 15, he became obsessed with motivational speakers like Stephen Covey, Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, and Yoda. In 2008, Rheid joined Toastmasters International. He is currently a distinguished Toastmaster, a past division governor, past area governor, and has held every office at the club level. In 2016, Rheid won District 26 International Speech Contest in Denver, advancing him to the semifinals of the World Championship of Public Speaking in Washington, D.C. There, he competed with 98 other contestants out of the 30,000 applicants from around the world. Rheid is a multi-award-winning motivational speaker. He is a leadership trainer and executive speech coach. He loves small business ownership, working with startups, and helping others achieve his dreams. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Rheid Schloss.
Wow, what an awesome experience to be here in front of all of you. You know, it's really true. I did have my first speaking engagement when I was 5. And let me reassure you that I was not this child prodigy or somebody that you might see on YouTube today. The family name was a stake. And so my mom she had me memorize my talk. I practiced and practiced for weeks, and I kind of got excited about it until Sunday morning when it was my turn to speak in Sunday school. My mouth went dry, my legs kind of felt like jelly, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I wouldn't get out of my seat. And my mom, she tried to encourage me, and finally she drugged me up to the lectern, and my face went red. So I buried my face in her Sunday dress, and I started to cry. I don't want to speak. Boy, have I come a long ways. Thank you, Toastmasters. You know, it's really an honor to be here, to be able to speak in front of you. I will never forget my first district event that I ever attended. It was right here in this room. That was over 10 years ago. It was an area contest, and 2 days before that contest, I went to my Rise and Shine Toastmaster Club, and all 5 of us sat there and looked at each other when we said there's a contest coming up this weekend, and the VP of Ed looked at me and said, why don't you go? So I went. It was kind of a little bit nerving. I had practiced a speech that I'd given in club and didn't think much about it, and came, and all of a sudden I saw a room full kind of like this, and I went, wow, there's a lot of Toastmasters in Colorado. Well, when it came my turn to speak, my mouth went dry. My legs started to feel like jelly. I started to feel like I was going to throw up. Mom wasn't there that day. So I stepped up and I gave my speech. And I won. It was the most amazing experience until I realized that I should have been disqualified. Who are our new Toastmasters? Anyone that's been just a Toastmaster less than a year? Yeah, back there in the back. Are you guys going to compete in the international contest? Yes, absolutely. Here's some advice. Read the rule book. Who knows what one of the requirements is for competing in the international speech contest?
Pay your dues.
Pay your dues, that's a good one. What else? 6 speeches or 2 paths. Well, at that day, I had actually given 3 speeches. And you know what? I didn't realize that until 2 days before the division contest when I started reading the rules. And poor Renee White got a phone call about 9:30 Thursday night before the Saturday competition. Renee, you're the runner-up. I can't speak. Rheid, I haven't been preparing. Well, Renee competed on Saturday, and she went overtime and was disqualified. Fortunately for me, Renee and I have become good friends. But you know what? That should be a wake-up call to anyone here that gets second place. Because not only did that event happen, in 2014, I was a week away from competing at the district contest, and I ended up having to life-flight my first wife, Sherry, to Duke University. And I couldn't compete. So make sure if you're going to compete and you get second place, don't stop practicing. Got it? Well, I was asked to talk to you a little bit about the why. The trio keeps talking about what's your why. Why did I join Toastmasters? Well, I'm going to tell you about that. First, let me see who here is a club officer. Everyone that's a club officer for the first time, keep your hand up. A few of you. Have you ever had that experience where all of a sudden you ask yourself, how did I get myself here? I think everybody's been there, right? It seems to come with the territory of Toastmasters. Well, for me, I experienced that moment September 4th, 2017. I was standing in the middle of the street on Elizabeth, just west of CSU campus, with 7,000 other runners. We were going to run the first Fortitude 10K race. Was anybody else in this room there with me that day? A couple of you? You see my wonderful wife, Wendy. She asked me if I would consider running the Fortitude with her. And so I was there. But you got to know, I hate to run. Some of you are in that same boat. Who are runners here? Anybody run a mile? Feel like they've run a mile before? How about a 5K? Anybody run a 10K? Anybody run a half marathon? Wendy, you should be raising your hand. Anybody run a marathon? That is awesome.
Wow.
How about one of those ultra marathons? Anybody run one of those? Now that's just craziness, isn't it? Well, there I stood amongst this sea of people. And I learned that day that they put the fast runners in waves before the slow runners. You know, they're thoughtful because those fast runners, they get frustrated when they have to kind of weave and knock over the slow runners. So I'm way back in the back, and I'm starting to think, you know what? Is that really helpful? Because if I'm way back in the back and others are passing me, that means the slow runners are passing me. Well, I'm sitting there feeling a little bit nervous when I hear the announcer. Runners, on your mark, get set. And off they were like a shot. They started running. I thought, wow, they're going fast. And the next wave of runners stepped up to the starting line. And all of a sudden the announcer said, on your mark, get set, race. They only had a single shot starter gun, sorry. But that word race did something to me. It made me all of a sudden realize, hey, I'm in the race. This is the first race I've ever run. And I hate to run. You know, I hate to run so much that I joined our junior high track team just so I could get the track outfit. You know that little, it had your name up here and also on your pants, so if you lost your pants someplace, you could match it with your top. In fact, the assistant coach was watching me one day while I was watching the girls run the 4x400. He came up and said, "So what do you run?" Not being silly or anything, I said, "After the girls." He must have heard that I was going to run after the girls and thought I was going to be in the relay. He says, "Oh, you're going to run the 4x400? Which leg?" Yeah, he didn't get it. I don't like to run. I'm an avid walker. My wife loves to run. But I walk. But I also walk pretty fast. In fact, I learned to walk with purpose. So much so that I found that I can actually probably walk faster than most of you can run. Well, there I'm at the starting line. And the closer I get to that starting line, the more anxious I get. And then I start thinking, you know, I have actually not ran a full 10K distance in training. This isn't going to be pretty. Then I started thinking, where am I going to break down? I knew exactly where I was going to break down. It happened every time I ran. You see, because I was an avid runner or walker, I thought because of the race, I would just go out and run a little bit each day. And when Wendy and I signed up 2 months before the race, you know, to get those early race fees, isn't that crazy that you have to pay to inflict pain upon yourself? I had only run a couple of blocks consecutively. So I would start out running a little bit each day, a little bit longer each day, and realizing each day how much I hated to race, how much I hated to run. Well, standing there at that starting line, I started to get worried. Am I going to throw up? That's when my mouth went dry. And the announcer said, "On your mark, get set, race!" Ian Butler from Boulder ran the fastest 10K that day. He ran it in 30 minutes, 32 seconds. That's 6.2 miles. Isn't that sick? My time? Yeah, a little bit slower. But I finished. Now you're probably thinking, well, did you run the race? No, not the complete race. You see, my mind and my body had a fight about 4 miles in. Right where every day I seemed to hit that block. And so I started walking for a few minutes, but then I picked it back up. And then about the 6-mile mark, I walked a few minutes more. But I'll never forget the moment I entered the stadium. My brain was so excited and all the people cheering. My brain said, "Sprint it, Rheid." My legs said, "Are you kidding me?" But I ran to the finish line. And I finished. And I didn't throw up, which was a great thing. You know, that day I learned a very important lesson. And that lesson is this: that you don't have to be completely ready to be in the race. You don't have to be perfect. Does that make sense? You just have to be in the race. You have to be willing to take your mark, to get set, and to go. You know, those words, they've been used since the 18th century for foot racing. That's crazy, isn't it? But what do those words mean to you? To me, they've taken on a huge new meaning. You see, take your mark is really about setting a mark, a place where you're going to start from. that means you're going to start. Get set. It's a warning. A warning that no matter what you've done up until that point doesn't matter anymore. That it's going to happen in just seconds, that you're going to be off. And go is that time when your actions have to speak louder than anything else. That you put all your effort into it. So why is that important? I can tell you that once you understand your why, that there will be things that will happen as long as you're willing to take your mark, get set, and go every day. You know, that experience of running, that fortitude, for me was an amazing experience. Because every day when I work with different executives and coaching and help train people in their speaking, all the time I get it. Rheid, I hate to speak. In fact, they use my same words. My mouth goes dry, my legs feel like jelly, and often I feel like I'm going to throw up. Anybody been there? Yeah. You know, a couple of months back, I was in India. And after one of my presentations, a young man, Siddhar, came up to me, and he said, Rheid, you're so lucky. You get to travel the world. You get to inspire people and motivate them. I wish I was so lucky. I'm sorry, I don't believe in luck. I don't believe things just happen by chance. I believe that there is purpose in our lives. And that if we are willing to take our mark and get set and go, that the universe is going to align around us to help us. How many believe that? My speaking career is a perfect example. In 2006, I had this opportunity of a lifetime, I thought. I wanted to hear Zig Ziglar speak, and he was coming to the Pepsi Center. So 25,000 people, and myself included, packed that arena. I was on the third row from the very top, and I was excited, and you could feel the energy in that auditorium. The closer it got to 9 o'clock, the more excited and giddy I got. Isn't that crazy? Then all of a sudden the announcer came on and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but Mr. Ziglar has had a personal emergency and will not be able to speak to us today. You could feel the air just be sucked clean out of that auditorium by the gasp of the people. Our next speaker will be, and then he went on. And I zoned out. I thought, man, I am so glad that I'm not that poor schmuck that's going to have to follow that announcement. And then what happened is what I call an on your mark, get set, go moment. A handsome young man, about 40 years old, in a tan outfit, sharp suit, walked to center stage to kind of an apologetic applause. And then he started to share his journey to America, the land of opportunity. 45 minutes later, 25,000 people were standing on their feet, cheering. My socks were rolling. And all of a sudden I had this thought. I want to do that. I frantically looked through the program, trying to figure out who this guy was. He wasn't in the program, and all of a sudden a flyer fell on the floor, and I carefully picked it up and started reading through it. And to this day, I can't tell you his name, where he came from, anything about him, except for one thing that was on that sheet. He was a Toastmaster. And I thought, what in the heck is a Toastmaster? I didn't have to wait long, because 2 weeks later, I received an email at work inviting me to attend our local Toastmaster club. HP Rise and Shine, 7 a.m. every Thursday morning. You know what? I thought if a Toastmaster could speak in place of Zig Ziglar, I better get started. So I went and I joined because my why was that I wanted to be a great motivational speaker. So what is your why? Why are you here today? Liz, how would you finish this question? I am here today because I want connection. Why are you here today? Joseph, why are you here today? Impact. I joined Toastmasters because I want to be a great motivational speaker. Was I on day one? Heavens no. So I've learned 3 things in my career with Toastmasters that I want to share with you that have helped me achieve my why. 1 is accountability partners. 2 is become a great evaluator. And 3 is to compete in whatever it is you're doing. What's an accountability partner? Anybody have a definition for me? Yes.
Be a witness for someone else's intentions, and then bear witness when they have achieved or not achieved.
Okay. It's someone that cares for you, don't they? Yeah. And they're there to help encourage you. Other ideas what an accountability partner is? Yes.
I want to make sure you do what you say you're going to do.
Going to do what you say you're going to do. I love that. Let me tell you about 2 accountability partners that helped me run the Fortitude. In 2001, my first wife, Sherry, and Josh, they drove to Colorado Springs to pick up a new member of our family. It was a Lhasa Apso puppy. He was cute and fluffy. They were so excited, they called me on the cell phone as they were driving back. I could hear it in everything they said, and all of a sudden my son said, "Oh, gross, he just threw up in the car." Yeah, even puppies, they get a little bit anxious. But you know, from that day, that first day Tucker and I met, we became really good friends, and we walked every morning. And there reached a point that every morning he was by my bedside at 6 a.m., pawing at the covers and doing that little, are we going to go walking thing? And no matter whether I wanted to walk or not, he was there. How many of you have those types of accountability partners? Yeah. Well, over the years, Tucker and I have walked thousands of miles together. He's the one that taught me to love walking. In fact, he taught me to walk with purpose because once he was out the door, it was like, man, he was on his mission to get to the park. June 19th, 2017, my accountability partner passed away. And I didn't feel like walking without Tucker. Fortunately, my wonderful wife, Wendy, noticed. And that's when she asked me if I'd consider running the Fortitude. If you want to achieve your why, you have to have accountability partners. And to become a better speaker and a better evaluator, you have to have accountability partners too. You see, I work with engineers all the time. It can be mind-numbing. They're constantly challenging every theory. They debate intensely. They have this ruthless ability to give feedback. And I don't think they understand empathy. I should know I'm a recovering engineer. And one Tuesday morning at Sunrise Toastmasters, I was one of the evaluators. When it came my turn to give the evaluation, I stepped up and I delivered the most awesome evaluation you can imagine. Went back, sat down in my seat. That was great. At the end of the meeting, one of my trusted accountability partners, Diana Hutchison, came to me and said, "Rheid, I'm sorry, but that was ruthless. I think you made her cry." That day, I committed that I would never give a critical evaluation again. That I would not only not give it in Toastmasters, but I wouldn't do it at work, and especially I wouldn't do it at home. And that has made all the difference. You know, it's been hard, and it's taken me time and effort. I had to focus. I had to really work at it. And you know what? I have trophies to prove that I got better. But if you want to become a successful speaker, you have to learn to become a great evaluator, not only of others, but of yourself as well. In 2015, I lost my first wife, Sherry, after complications of a double lung transplant. And I didn't feel like speaking much. I didn't feel like doing much of anything. Fortunately, it's people like Linda Fellion and other Toastmaster friends of mine that encouraged me to talk about it. It was my accountability team of peak performance that got me back speaking. I needed to speak. And in 2016, I won the District 26 International Speech Contest that took me to Washington, D.C. to participate in the semifinals of the World Championship of Public Speaking. I was one of 98 contestants that year. Out of 30,000 participants worldwide, I knew I was going to win. And winning became larger than life. August 18, 2016, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Please help me welcome contestant number 5, Rheid Schloss, Whiteouts. Whiteouts, Rheid Schloss. I took a step forward and I delivered an amazing speech. And then I had to wait. You had to wait. You had to wait. There were 9 speakers in our round. And then they finally got to the awards. In 3rd place, please don't beat me, please don't beat me, please don't beat me. It wasn't me. In 2nd place, please don't beat me, please don't beat me. Is it me? It wasn't me. And in 1st place, it wasn't me. I didn't even place. I felt devastated. I had worked tirelessly to get there. I had practiced and practiced and practiced. I had worked with 7 different coaches. I had traveled 3,000 miles delivering my speech to 34 different congregations or groups. I had rewritten my speeches 42 times. I had received evaluations back from hundreds of people, and nothing. I went home and moped around the house for a couple of weeks. But what I didn't realize is that all that practice, all of that experience, even though that I thought I had bombed the chance of a lifetime, that I had missed being taken from obscurity to this well-known world champion, motivational speaker. All of that practice was actually on your mark, get set, and go moments that started to put the universe in motion, that set up many, many lifetime experiences. Let me share with you a recent one. 6 months ago, one of our division VPs came to Fort Collins to visit his team. I had a chance to have a one-on-one with him. Sat down in the chair, we started to talk a little bit, and he looked at me and said, "So Rheid, why aren't we using all of your skills here within Hewlett-Packard Enterprise?" I looked at him and I said, "Because I've been hiding in the company." He kind of laughed, kind of that nervous laugh, and then he said, "Tell me more." I said, "Jeff, for the past 15 years, I have been working at HP primarily to provide insurance for my wife. And in 2015, I lost her after a double lung transplant." Then Jeff got quiet. He said, "Rheid, do you know my story?" I said, "No." He said, "I lost my wife 5 years ago to brain cancer, and I know exactly what it means to be hiding in the company. It's time to change that." We talked a little bit about my professional speaking and coaching, and I said, "Jeff, would you be open to some coaching today?" He said, "Sure." Jeff, this morning when you came in and met with the team, you walked up to the edge of the table and you said, "I didn't really prepare anything today. I just wanted to come talk." Jeff, what did that tell everyone in that room? He sat back for a second. That I wasn't prepared? Absolutely. But I'm sure you had objectives and you had things that you wanted to accomplish on this trip or you wouldn't have been here, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, the most important thing you told your audience that day was they weren't important enough for you to prepare. Great evaluation, huh? Well, I can tell you that Jeff got all excited. He said, "Rheid, can you help me?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Will you get me a proposal?" I said, "Sure." That was Thursday night. Friday, Jeff gets on a plane and heads back to California. I don't think much about it. Saturday, I get an email from Jeff. "Hey, do you have that proposal yet?" Jeff's excited. "I'll get it to you." Sunday, I get a text from him. "Do you have that proposal yet?" "I'll get it to you Monday morning." So that weekend, I listed 6 things that I thought needed to happen. 4 of them were organizational things that I knew I could really help with in the organization. And 2 of them were things that I wanted to do. I sent that email off Monday morning. 5 minutes later, I get a reply. "I love it. Let's do all of it." Have you ever had one of those moments where you thought, what did I just get myself into? Toastmasters do it all the time, right? On your mark, get set, go. 3 weeks later, I hit it out of the park with my training. I get a phone call from Jeff. "How'd you get my cell phone number, Jeff?" "Hey, I heard that it's going great. I just want you to meet with somebody. Her name's Amanda, and she'll be there on Friday." So Friday, I meet with Amanda. Sitting at the corner of the table, she looks at me. She says, "Rheid, tell me your story." So I share with her my experience with Jeff and how I was hiding in the company. And that then turned into her saying, "Rheid, you're the person I want." What's that mean? Is this a job interview? "I need your help. I'm an executive coach for our management team. And I do coaching and training. And I've just been diagnosed with an aggressive breast cancer. And for the past 2 months, I've been trying to find someone to take my place. Would you be willing to do that? Absolutely. Did you hear it? On your mark, get set, go. When do you want me to start? How about today? On your mark, get set, go. All of that because I was willing to work on my why. Before I conclude, I'd like to just open it up for a couple of questions because I'm often asked, how is it like competing? Is there anybody here that has a question? Yes?
What was your process going from district to world? Because you have to have a different speech, right?
From district, you can use the same speech at that time going to regionals. And then you'd have, if you won at that round, then you had to have another speech. So you had to prepare 2 speeches. But I get this question all the time, well, how did you prepare? And it was like, I practiced and I videoed myself, I watched my video, then I'd change my speech, then I'd practice some more, I'd video, I'd go through that. My schedule was that I'd wake up at 5:30 every morning. I would practice in my basement until 7:30, take a shower, eat breakfast, and be to work by 8. I would then, during lunchtime, come home. I'd work on my speeches there, go back to work. Then when I had a break, I'd walk around the perimeter of our campus, and I would recite my speeches. Then I'd come home, eat dinner, do some of those family things, and then at 9 o'clock to 11, I would practice in my basement some more. Coaches were essential. They helped me see what I needed. Great question. Any other questions? Yes?
What do you look for in a good coach?
That's something that is, you have to have someone that's been there. You know, someone that's been at the point where you're at or beyond that. I had 7 different coaches, and they came from different areas. 3 of those had worked with international speech champions. One of them was Ryan Avery's wife. I also got an image consultant. You know, I didn't realize how much is said before you say anything. And I looked at my image through her lens, and I went, oh, geez, I'm out of date. And instantly that triggers something in your audience that your content's out of date. You got to think in terms of the whole package. You had to think in terms of staging. But that coach, you've got to build a trust with them. You got to test it a little bit. And if it's not the right coach, then find another one. One of my coaches was a speech coach. He helped me so that I wasn't swallowing my words. Those were important things to learn. Great questions. Last year, Wendy came to me again and said, hey, would you consider running the Fortitude again with me? And I said, sure. Because I had been doing some research and practicing some different techniques, one of breathing and one of pacing, trying to learn how to become a better runner. Well, I ran that race, the whole race, personal best. It was a wonderful experience. Did I love it? No. Do I love to run? Yeah. A couple of weeks after that race, she came to me. She said, Rheid, would you consider running a half marathon? 13 miles? Here, look at this plan. It's an 8-week plan for beginners to running a half marathon. You know, I looked at that and I thought, how can this work? Monday and Tuesday, you run short runs, somewhere between 3 and 5 miles. Wednesday, you run for speed. That's 3 to 4 miles. Thursday, you rest. What's up with that? Friday, you run longer runs, 6 to 8 miles. And Saturday, you run your longer runs, up to 14 miles. And Sunday, you rest. I had never thought that you could improve your running capabilities by resting, by following that plan. Will this work? So I tested it out. The first week, it was brutal. The second week got a little bit better. And during that sprint, that fast run on Wednesday, I get this cute little text from my wife. It says, remember that if your arms go numb, it's okay, they're still there. By week 3, I was running faster. By week 4, I was running further. And by week 5, it happened. I experienced that runner's high. I didn't think that would ever be something that I'd experience. Wendy had told me about it, but I kind of didn't believe her because one of the highlights of her running the LA Marathon was throwing up about mile 18 and fertilizing some bushes and then finishing the race. And, I didn't know if I wanted that high. Well, I can tell you that there are great parallels between running and public speaking, because I've experienced that speaker's high as well, and it's amazing. What I want you to take away from today is this. Every one of you in this room has a why. Every day you have the opportunity to work on that why, to take your mark, to get set and go and help the universe work around you. Toastmasters has a plan to help you with speaking and leadership. Toastmasters can help you find accountability partners. Toastmasters can help you become great evaluators. And Toastmasters can help you compete. Toastmasters can help you achieve your why. I'm a living example. Will you do something for me this week? When you're done brushing your teeth in the morning, look in the mirror. Now, I know some of you you're going, I don't want to look in the mirror. But when you're done, look in the mirror and say, on your mark, get set, speak. You're going to laugh the first couple of times, but it's going to make you think about your why. Will you do that for me?
Yes.
Great. Toastmasters, are you ready?
Yes.
You don't have to be ready. You have to be in the race. On your mark, get set, speak. Thank you.